Hey guys, welcome back. I just wanna, I just wanna share something with you. Okay, um, about the hearing. Okay, that was live streamed last night. It's about Mr. Gary Gensler. This is what he wants. Let me share this.
When somebody is awarded disgorgement and penalties and so forth, that they're paid. I would note that sometimes those broker-dealers are out of business, and so there's some of that goes on too. But I couldn't concur with you more that it's important for the confidence of investors that if they're duly awarded something because of their claim,
we
that they
agree
should.
then, Chair Gensler, and will you undertake to make that more of a priority with the SEC?
I think it already is a priority, but I will commit to you that I will check with the staff and make sure that they understand the importance of this issue.
Perfect, thank you. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Ranking Member Hoyer. And thank you, Chair Gensler, for appearing before our committee today.
Here we go.
Iowans care about accountability. They care about focus on mission, jurisdiction, and you already mentioned congressional mandate for the SEC in an earlier answer. And so I think, to put it bluntly, we've seen you sprint outside of your congressional jurisdiction, specifically when it comes to the climate disclosure rule. I see it as a true weaponization of the department, and Iowa farmers, Iowa businesses, Iowa workers see it that way too. And I think it's high time that you reel it in. That's what I'm here to tell you today on behalf of my constituents. And I dug into the place where you say in statutory authority that you're citing 10 different sections of the Exchange or Securities Act in your proposal. And so my first question to you today is, where in here specifically did Congress give you the statutory authority, the jurisdiction to enact this climate rule?
Yeah, there you go, guys. Congress never once. Congress never gave Gary Gensler jurisdiction for crypto. Okay, moving on. Let's go.
I thank you for asking it. So our remit all the way back from the 1930s is to ensure that investors get to decide based on full, fair, and truthful disclosure.
I'm asking you specifically about where your statutory authority
Yeah.
is in
Answer the
Section
question.
710, 19A, 28 of the Securities Act, Sections 3B, 12, 13, 15, 23A, and 36 of the Exchange Act. Can you cite where it gives you the actual authority? Because I went through all these sections, and nowhere does it say climate, emissions, or greenhouse gas.
But what it does say is that a company, when it's offering securities and offering a sale of security to the public, that the public gets the description of the business, the material information, and that they can't mislead the public. And what's happening now is there's hundreds, if not well over 1,000 companies today in the markets that are putting out disclosures about climate risk. And there's
No, you're not, Gary. You're not putting out disclosures. Okay, you're suing people that come in and talk to you. Come in and talk to us. We can discuss it. And when they leave the door, when they're going out the door, you throw a lawsuit, a Wells notice on their doorstep. You're a liar, Gary.
investors that are relying on those disclosures. And all we're doing, we're not, with all respect, we are merit neutral. And that's an important part of our.
Neutral? What is he talking about? Is this guy delusional? It doesn't. It does he even believe what he's spilling?
Capital markets. We were
Well, I think
merit
Congress
neutral.
clearly needs to
We're
be.
trying to bring consistency and comparability to those disclosures.
Well, it's very clear that in these sections, it is not explicit as far as your lane is concerned there. And that's when I say it's time to reel it in. You need to be explicit about where your authority is. And I don't see that in these sections of code that you
No,
reference.
because he's hiding the information. He doesn't want you to know, or that dodgy dealings he's dealing under the table deals. He doesn't want any of that information getting to you.
And I'm also very concerned by the expansive reporting requirements for Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions, the devastating impact that would have for Iowa farmers, because under this rule, you look at large corporations, they have teams of attorneys that can help them comply. Iowa farmers don't have that. So I'm very concerned about the precedent that's being set here with these policies and what you're asking for here. So can you give me some examples of where the commission has asked for this type of non-financial information to be disclosed in the past?
So our remit is just over the public companies, the 7,000 or 8,000 companies. It's not the farmers that you're referencing.
iRemit is a cross-border payment service. If I'm not mistaken, iRemit, you can send money from one country to another.
So that's probably, we share that view. And what this is about is the disclosures that the public companies are making. And we put out a proposal about trying to bring consistency to that. We heard a lot of comments back, so-called scope 3 disclosures that you reference is one of the handful, but important handful of areas where people, public comment, we got 15,000 comments, came to us. 49 different farm bureaus came
Well,
to
I
us.
understand
And
about
so
the
I
public
think that,
feedback, but
I
is there
think that
precedent for this? That's what I'm asking. Is there any point in time where you can cite anything precedent-wise where you've required this amount of disclosure?
it's just to bring consistency to the disclosure they're already making.
Oversight by enforcement. That's what it is.
But as it relates to this issue about, there's no intent or
Oh,
focus.
guys, I can't wait till April 18th when he gets grilled in front of Congress. I'm going to stream that. Oh my God, I can't wait to see him sweating.
Of the Securities and Exchange Commission to ask for disclosures from private sector farmers in Iowa or in any of your states.
Well, what I'm hearing here is that this is unprecedented in your answer because you're not mentioning anything precedented, and I do believe that
He's not helping the farmers at all. He's not helping the farmers one bit.
focus of your agency should be on fraud, detecting Ponzi schemes, not on enacting a climate agenda, which again, I believe exceeds your statutory authority.
Of course it does.
Thank you, sir. I yield back.
Mr. Pocan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for being with us. First off, just on a budget question, do you right now with your current budget have adequate resources to investigate emerging cryptocurrency
Here we go.
issues?
He's going to.
We're stretched thin,
We're
sir. This is a
stretched.
field, it's small compared to our vast $100 trillion capital markets, but
The budget he's got is small compared to our star. What a load of Jesus Christ! This guy makes me crazy.
it's a field that has significant amount of non-compliance in it without prejudging any one token or one platform. We've increased our resources there, but we could always use more.
See, he's asking for more money. He's asking for more resources to go after more crypto firms to destroy crypto. That's what he wants. He wants to destroy crypto in the USA. This guy is a fool.
Yeah, just with the volatility, I mean, talk about confidence in markets. I think this is one area I'm concerned when some in the Republican leadership have talked about a cut going back to 2022 levels, or this morning, Mr. Harris actually said pre-COVID levels going back even more years, what impact that could have when there are emerging issues that you're going to need resources for. So thank you for that answer. Also, we've been reminded recently very clearly why Congress passed strong banking regulations like the Dodd-Frank law and why it's a mistake in 2018 to roll back some of those protections. We can likely agree that mismanagement and greed on the part of the executives at Silicon Valley Bank led them to make some risky decisions that endangered their customers. I'm particularly concerned about Section 956 of Dodd-Frank, which required a number of financial regulators, including the SEC, to set guidelines around responsible compensation incentives for bank executives and even prohibit compensation structures that drive executives to engage in risky behavior that may gain their shareholders bigger profits, but also endanger the broader economy. So to you and the commission's credit, the SEC is the only regulator that has even attempted to fulfill this requirement that was passed into law a dozen years ago, but the rulemaking was never finished. Chair Gensler, do you plan on tackling these reckless and greedy incentives by having the SEC pursue a rulemaking process on this long overdue requirement?
Yes.
Great.
Yes,
Glad to hear that.
yes,
Because I think in
of
talking about
course,
confidence in
yes,
markets, this is something clearly front of mind for a lot of people.
of course. One, if he's got the money, he's gonna go. He's gonna go after any company, any institution that he feels he can. You know, he's got the power. He's like Superman, but he's more like Lex Luthor. He looks like Lex Luthor, or even Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
But I'm rambling. Anybody want any coffee?
I'll have some coffee.
Want it black, don't you? Black like your heart? It's so hard for me to listen to you.
He's Mr. Burns.
Let me talk to you a little bit about congressional insider training. I know that New York Times recently said 18% of lawmakers or their family members bought or sold financial assets over a 3-year span. And, again, for confidence in Congress, this isn't even in the markets. I know we have the 2012 Stock Act that allows members to buy and sell individual stocks, provided that they don't trade on inside information and disclose transactions over $1,000 within 45 days. There's been bills introduced to change that, to make it so that we can't buy individual stock. And I'll tell you, I'm not one of the millionaires around here, so I don't buy a lot of individual stock anyway, but I do get a lot of insider information almost on a weekly basis from companies and people that come in.
See what I mean? He gets insider information. He knows who is in insider trading, and he wants Gary Gensler to enforce more action against them insider trading. Let's see what happens.
Because of the access to people that talk to members of Congress. How does the SEC conduct oversight on congressional trading? And how is a determination made if they believe a member is violating the Stock Act? And how would you define insider information?
Insider information, Gary, that answer the question.
A lot of questions there, but we follow the facts and the law. And so insider information, material, non-public information that a company has that the public doesn't have. It's not yet disclosed in their press releases.
Oh my God, we know what insider trading is, Gary. You don't need to tell us that we're 5-year-old kids. We know what insider trading is.
Filings and the like, is not meant to be traded upon by those insiders or people they share that information with, whether it's the broad public or a member of Congress. And so we just follow the facts and the law, and we keep it confidential if we have an investigation, as we would whether it's somebody in the broad public or, of course, a member of Congress.
In the minute I've left, just a quick question. I think a lot of us are concerned whether or not we're going to lift the debt ceiling and what could happen to markets. As someone who's watching markets and concerned about faith in markets, are you concerned? And if you're concerned, why, in case we don't lift the debt ceiling, what that could impact that could have?
Well, it would be historic, of course, and it would be.
It'd be historic, of course, but I can't answer the question.
In terms of trust, we were talking about trust and confidence in capital markets. The capital markets themselves would take a real hit. I mean, we have the gold standard of capital markets around the globe, and part of that is at the base is the U.S. Treasury market. This 24 trillion, about a quarter of our capital markets. It's called risk-free, but you'd add a great deal of uncertainty, and it'd be, frankly, one heck of a shock to the capital markets.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Mr. Cloud.
Thank you, Chair, Ranking Member, and thank
Okay,
you, Chair,
who's
for
next?
being here
Who's speaking
today.
next?
I wanted to
'Cause
continue on with
Gary
the line of
is
questioning Ms. Henson and other
he's really
colleagues
not
have had.
answering any questions at all. Not
the-
properly, is he?
Securities Act of 1933 and the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, I'm sure you're aware, defines what is your role and what the commission's role is. You'd agree?
Yes, very important. It's also the 1940 Acts on investment advisors,
Right.
investment companies.
And of course, the job of the executive branch is to execute the laws, not create the laws. And we also have the Anti-Deficiency Act that ensures that federal employees don't
need some more
use
water.
federal resources to do things that they are not authorized
later.
and appropriated to do. I brought them with me today, the Securities Exchange Act of 1933, and of course, we have 1934 right here.
Jesus.
Are you aware of how many times, of course, we want good governance? We're all concerned right now. When I talk to banks, they're really concerned about the ESG initiatives that are being forced. We want good governance,
Imagine reading through all that. My God. Yeah, do your head in.
but
Thank God I'm not a lawyer.
you want to guess how many times climate appears in these documents?
I understand the question. It's about
It's
full,
zero.
fair, and truthful disclosure
it's
about a
zero.
business.
You know how many times the word social appears? It's also zero. Right now, the SEC is currently working on a rule that would require companies to report on the cost of climate change for their businesses above a certain threshold. It's been talked about scope 3, and you're saying that that's not going to hurt farmers. But the thing is when a business is trying to get a loan, but they can't get a loan until they report on the next person in the supply chain who has to report on the next person in the supply chain, it does get
But
down to
this
the
is
farmers.
ridiculous.
And so, I'm really concerned about mission creep. And, it's really hard to see where the SEC and certainly you as chair would have any sort of authority to be enacting these things. And I would just keep in light of that the Democratic-led House last term.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there, guys. Okay, um, I'm getting sick of Gary. I'm really getting sick of Gary. He's not answering the proper questions. He's trying to bypass the questions. I can't wait till April 18th when he gets grilled he gets grilled in front of Congress, explain himself, overreach. Um, you know, all this enforcement he's got, and now he's demanding more money. It is crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna stop the stream here. Okay, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go live later, so I'll catch you on the next one. Like, subscribe for more of this live content. Thank you. Bye.